The mother-in-law says, "Do you want me to help you?" He says, "No, you don't need it," and she says, "Okay then." Minutes before, the wife asks, "Don't you want to put on your slippers?" He says, "No love, is this where your mother lives?" She says, "Yes, it's up there, you'll see her house, it's humble, but it's cute, you have to see it, it's made of wood and you have to see the view from there, it's wonderful, shall we go?" He says, "It's a thicket, right," and she says, "Come on, she's already coming." Tamara says, "Hi Mom." The mother replied, "Daughter, you already arrived," and Tamara asked, "How are you?" She replied, "I'm fine and you look pretty," and Tamara says, "Look who I brought for you to meet, come here," and the mother says, "Wow, he's cute, and Paolo says, "Hi, how are you? Nice to see, look what I brought you," and she thanks you and says they're very pretty and let's go up to the house, and he says, "Yes we will." The mother-in-law says, "Come on, let's go." Tamara says, "Wow, it's hard to come up here, isn't it?" The mother says, "Yes, it's full of holes, right," and Tamara says, "Come Paolo, come love. Be careful there," and the mother says, "Come on son, let's go there," and Tamara says, leave it, he's coming, you know how it is with people who grow up in an apartment, right?" And the mother says, "It's boring, you're not used to this mess," and the daughter says, "Yes, come on." Paul alone speaks, "My God. The old woman is in a stench." Tamara says, "Leave him mother, don't you notice, son of rich people is like that, and you know how these people are, they're full of freshness and nauseous, they're not used to a humble home," and mother says, "Oh yeah? But he's nice," and Tamara yells, "Go love. He's already coming, shall we go in?" And mother says, "Won't you wait for him?" She says, "No, he's coming now, he'll be here in a little while, he'll be here in half an hour, because he's too slow, and I'm going in, will you wait for him there?" The mother says, "Yes, I hope, oh daughter, help me to pass inside, and when he arrives, I help him to pass," and Tamara says, "Okay," and the mother says, "I'm afraid of falling here, and I'll be waiting here to help him." Paolo says, "Is this where the entrance to your house is?" She says, "Yes, this is it, be careful not to fall," and she gives me your hand and I'll help you, and he says, No, you don't need it," and she says, "Then it's good," and he says, "My God," and she says, "Yeah, a humble house, but it's not messy, and this isn't dirt, it's because they're renovating and the rain came and it fell from here, but tomorrow the mason comes to clean it up," and he says, "And that smell?" She says, "What smell?" He asks, "Is it from the pit?" She says, "Hey, I don't smell it," and he asks, "Love, have you arrived yet?" The mother-in-law asks, "Would you like something to drink?" He says, "Do you have a cappuccino? Or espresso?" The mother says, "I don't know what that is, there's coffee," and he says, "Can it be water?" She says, "Yes you can, so I'll go get the water for you, I'll leave the flower here to decorate the table." Paolo approaches Amara and says, "Don't you think it's better for us to leave? Then we stopped by the bakery and had a coffee, what do you think?" Tamara says, "No, stop it," and Paolo says, "Love. There's a spider that big," and she says, "Paolo, you're exaggerating too, right? And of course there are spiders in the forest, and how is my mother going to control the spiders in the field?" And he says, "What about that septic tank smell?" She says, "I can't smell anything, you're exaggerating, and this is a beautiful place, why keep doing that, enjoy and look at things, and my mother is welcoming you so well," and he says, "There's nothing to do with your mother, yeah this smell," and she says, "I don't smell anything, funny," and he says, "How not?" She says, "You're exaggerating, and that's not right for you to do to my mother, and I don't like that," and he says, "It's not because of your mother," and she says, "She's humble and you're used to it in the apartment and you stay there isolated that you can't be in the middle of nowhere, and the next time I come alone and I'm going to go see my mother," and he agrees. The mother-in-law says, "Look at your water." He asks, "Is it mineral?" She says, "No, I can." He says, the pit is over there, and where is the can? She says, stay there, and he says, on the side? She says, it's not on the side, but it's there, and you can have it, and he says, no, I don't want it, and she says, it's clean, and he says, I know, and she says, you don't like it here, right? And he replied, no, that, here you just need to tidy up, and this smell can even be bad for you, and she says, I don't feel it, it's because you're not used to it, and he says, I don't know how you can stand it, can you call Tamara? She says, okay, I'm going to call, and she screams, oh Tamara, Tamara, come here, Paolo is calling you, and he says, wow, I don't know who stinks more, that cesspool or that old woman. The mother comes back and says, look, I found a cookie there, I wanted to make some bread, but there was no time to eat this cookie, and he says, cookie? She says, it's delicious, and he says, wow, it's full of ants, and she says, ant? He says yes, those yellow ones, and she says, even this one is normal, because my closet is old, so the door doesn't close properly, and that's how the ants go there, and the ants. It's not bad, it's even good for your health, you can eat it, and he says, then I can't stand the smell of the septic tank, do you have a bathroom? She replied, it's not clogged, but it has the bush. Have you ever been in the bush? Going in the woods is the same thing, and he says, love, I'm going there, and I'll be right back. Tamara says, don't mind mom, I told you Paolo is full of freshness, and the family is rich, and, you know what, I'm going to eat a cookie, didn't he say he had ants? And what they have sometimes they really have, and sugar is not even mentioned, and the mother says, yes, it's because he's not used to the countryside, he's used to it in the city, he's rich, it's different, and you have to understand, and Tamara says, okay, I'll go see where he is and talk. Paolo says, my God, that smells, he picks up the phone and says, Matthias? Oh, my partner, I came to meet Tamara's mother, and she thinks of a disgusting old woman, what a stink the woman has, she has a cesspool, and finally she gets a story there, and then Tamara says, what is Paolo? Who are you calling? Your little friend is calling to pick you up, and Paolo says, no, it's just that Matthias called and said he's not feeling well, and Tamara says, are you going to lie to my face? I was back here listening to everything, and you called my mother smelly, and the house stinks, and making excuses for him to come and get you. My son takes the path and leaves, and he doesn't need to ask anyone to come here, he doesn't need to make excuses, no, and Paolo says, baby, I don't know who's more stinky, if it's your mother or the cesspool, and she says, shut up and wash your mouth to talk about my mother, and you come to her house. She welcomes you with the greatest affection, and you talk like that? He says, look, forgive me, let's do this, let's start again, and he calls his mother and tells her I'm going to buy her a coffee, and I'll take her to a very fancy bakery, the one in the center, what do you think? She replied, you want to know, get your mother, that disgusting and unbearable woman, who reminds me every single day that I'm the poor one and she's the rich one, get her, go have a coffee with her, and I'll stay here with my mother and leave here, and he says, no love, calm down, it's not possible that you can't smell that smell, and she says, do me a favor, get out of my sight. You who are disgusting and who think you're better than everyone else, and just treat well who has it and who has it, eh? Little below you sucks, and you think you're better than her? He says, that's not it, I treat my father's employees very well, except that they aren't stinky, and Tamara says, then get out of here and get out of my sight, get out of my mother's house, you disgusting thing. Tamara tells her mother her calm, and she asks, what happened, daughter? What happened? I heard him, he's disgusted, right? And Tamara says, no mom, nothing happened, you got it wrong, it's just that his mom called and he had to go after her, and she wants to know he was too late, and mom says, you brought him here on the wrong day, here today, it's very messy, and Tamara says, I didn't expect it, and actually I brought him to do a test to see how he would react, and he showed me who he really is, and it was better that way, and before getting married, and then he would have to separate, it will be better that way, and her mother says, yes, he's nice, but he's different from us, and I'm very poor, and Tamara says, one day you're going to change your life too, I'm studying for that, and stay with God, I love you so much, and I'll never let the lady let no one destrate the lady, and now, let's have a coffee? Let's go, the mother says, and they are gone.